You are now locked in and listening to The Issue.
This guy is a franchise quarterback, and no, I don't want to hear any pushback on that.
It feels like a top 10 roster to me. It feels like it can win a championship.
This is The Issue.
Yo, what's up? We are back. It is The Issue, episode 261 here on Thursday, January 30th. Where did the month go? It flew by, and so did football season. So now we can discuss the wrap-up of things. Personally, not too thrilled with the way things turned out. Neither is Tim. He came in fiery today, and don't you worry, you will hear all about it to start the show. Very NFL focused, the state of the league, just the way everything played out, the calls, the officiating, all of it's horrible. We're going to discuss that to open things up. Then we will move into hits and misses, talk about where we were right and wrong in the previous week, and then into the second segment we will have our season wrap up. We're going to go over kind of our biggest hits, kind of where we missed, and just, give our superlatives, the MVP, the oh boy, the deep boy, all the important stuff. That's how we'll finish the show. But for now, we appreciate it however you're joining us, whether you are watching the show, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Prime Video would be the places to do that, or listening on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and of course, the iHeartRadio app. So we appreciate it. A lot to talk about today. Kind of craziness in the NFL now going into the Super Bowl. Of course, you have another Kansas City and Philadelphia matchup. Like I said, not thrilled about it. Not the outcome I wanted to see. I would have been fine with a Bills-Eagles. I thought that would have been interesting. But the same Kansas City team and the Eagles, it just feels very similar. I don't know. You go ahead.
I feel like the entire country that wasn't in Philadelphia or Kansas City was rooting for Washington and Buffalo. And of course, it didn't go well. The thing I noticed, it was kind of a realization actually as I was driving here, the NFL is so intentional. Right? Everything they do is intentional. The Texans firing Bobby Slowick on a Friday afternoon, and Jerry Jones hiring Brian Schottenheimer on a Friday night. Those are very intentional decisions because you avoid the news cycle for a couple of days, right? You're in it for like a day, Friday, like late night shows we'll talk about, just Saturday a little bit, but people don't really watch TV as much on Saturdays. Ratings will show that unless it's a big event or a big game. You're not really watching talk shows on Saturdays. That's why the main ones aren't on Saturdays. They're Monday through Friday. And then you, of course, have the conference championship game Sunday, so you avoid the news for a little bit. Softens the blow of firing a coach or settling for your offensive coordinator that didn't call plays in Dallas. So everything's intentional. And, the Eagles getting Saquon and Jalen Carter and all these unbelievable high-end players, it's not an accident. It's not an accident. They have one of the best general managers. They have an all-in owner. They have a really, really good coaching staff. Not great. I'm not sure about Sirianni, but a really, really good. He wins, right? He wins second Super Bowl in 4 years. This league, these owners, the GMs, the coaches, players are intentional and purposeful about absolutely everything in the NFL. It's exactly why I simply I do not accept or believe, better teams and better coaches, they get the calls because, they're better and they're more disciplined. I do not buy it for a second. That NFL championship, the AFC championship, was an embarrassment. It was an absolute embarrassment. We'll get to Buffalo. I don't think they played great. We'll get to their flaws in a second. But for the NFL to look you directly in the face and tell you the Kansas City Chiefs are officiated correctly, consistently, fairly, in accordance with the NFL rule, it's flatly lying to your face. The NFL is lying to your face, and they're getting away with it, and you're still watching the product. And that's the realization I had. They are lying directly to my face as a consumer that this is status quo. This is how it goes with the league when you have a really good quarterback and a great coach. This is how it should look. No, it is absolutely not. We'll just go, there's about 5 or 6 critical missed calls and plays in which the Kansas City Chiefs were awarded a favorable call. Did anybody watch the jump ball with Xavier Worthy? So, the Bills player goes up. It's a jump ball. Bills safety goes up. Xavier Worthy goes up. The Bills player has 2 hands on the football. The Chiefs player has 1. They fight for the ball as they go to the ground. The tip of the ball hits the ground. There are 3 possible calls in this situation. One, it's incomplete because the ball hit the ground. We see that on a gamely basis in the NFL. The ball hit the ground, incomplete catch. Two, it's an interception. The Bills guy seemed to have more control of it in the air. Look at any angle you look at, he's got two hands on the ball. Or three, it's a Chiefs catch. They now get the ball inside the 5. They went with number 3. I know there was a holding call in the secondary, so the Chiefs would have got a first down anyway. They would have been at like the 25, not the 5. It's a big difference. It's a really, really big difference. Or how about the big punt return in the second quarter? How many block in the backs did you count? How many holding calls did you count? I got to 4 total. 3 block in the backs, 1 hold. None of which were particularly debatable. Not even that close. Very blatant, very obvious. Again, calls that you see probably 2-3 times a Sunday in the NFL. Almost all the time. Almost one per game, I would say. Number 3, on that same drive, Kansas City, it's 3rd and goal. Play clock hits 0. Game clock still at 2:01. In fact, they said on the broadcast that Kansas City's not. They're going to have to run another play. They won't be able to snap. They won't be able to snap the ball, or they won't be able to not snap the ball. They're going to have to snap the ball, or else it's going to be a delay of game. The play clock is like a half a tick faster than the game clock. The broadcast even said it. No delay of game. It's fine. So it was 3rd and goal. Should have been 3rd and goal from the 10 instead of the 5. Number 4, the 3rd down before the infamous 4th down, right? That everyone's talking about, right? Everyone knows the quarterback sneak where Josh Allen got it. How about 3rd down when Dalton Kincaid? Did you see his knees that were on the opponent? That were up. They were clearly weren't down. He was not down by contact. Reaches out, clearly gets the line to gain. It was completely obvious. The line to gain, you didn't need the yellow marker. It was the solid line on the field. It's painted on the field. The official can see that one. You can see the solid line they needed to gain, and he got there. And they not only did they mark him short, he was like a yard short. He got the first down, they marked him a yard short. And finally, of course, the infamous 4th down play. Did anybody watch the Washington game? When all the offsides were happening? Multiple players were offsides on trying to defend that tush-push play. No one wants to show you the picture. Nobody wants to find it out there. Did you see multiple Chiefs offsides? Multiple. The nose tackle, the defensive end, the one linebacker. All offsides. The official's looking right down the line. It's clear as day. It is the most obvious call you can find. And then, of course, you have the 4th down call. Spot's awful. It's the worst spot I've seen in a long time, except for the 3rd down play right before it. To act like the NFL isn't giving favorable officiating, favorable calls to the Kansas City Chiefs to get them here is absolutely absurd. We'll get to Buffalo in a second. It's like the next thing we're going to talk about. We will get to them in a second. But for the NFL to look you in the face and tell you that this is a fairly officiated game, that the Chiefs get just the same calls as everybody else, that there is no favoritism, there's nothing wrong with these officials and how they are officiating the football game when the Chiefs play in it, you are flatly incorrect. They are lying to your face, and you are just accepting it as a consumer. If that's what you truly believe, you're either a Kansas City fan or you're absolutely downright brain dead. If you don't watch the games, you won't know. If you watched the football game and thought, yeah, that was a fairly officiated game, I cannot help you. I cannot watch football with you. You do not understand what you are watching as a true football fan.
100% agree on that one. Now, my question to you, because I agree. I've seen the same things. I've watched the games. Like, you know how I feel about the Chiefs. Why would the NFL want them back in it so bad? Like, why would they be pulling that? Why would they be giving favorable officiating? Like, is it because they want to see a three-peat? Or because I feel like it would be much more interesting for the NFL to get somebody like a Josh Allen in there, get somebody like a Buffalo Bills in there that's a little bit different to shake things up, that makes it more interesting? Because I feel like if they were to take a pulse of the general population, nobody in America wanted this Super Bowl. So if the NFL was truly, like, you know, in touch with what the people and what their consumers wanted, I would almost think it should be the other way, right?
No, because it's all of the money favors the Chiefs winning football games. Not all the money. I'm not saying a Buffalo Washington Super Bowl would have been bad from a revenue standpoint. How many more people are going to watch this game because it's the Kansas City Chiefs? How many kids for Christmas next year are going to buy a Patrick Mahomes jersey because of this? How much does the Taylor Swift factor come into play. Maybe it's not one of those specifically is the reason, but it's almost like a perfect storm. It's what that one PBA bowler said, love me or hate me, you tuned in to watch me. The Chiefs are going to get eyeballs on them. Everybody hates Patrick Mahomes. Everybody hates his brother. Everybody hates his wife. So people are going to watch just because they hate him as a player. So many people hate Travis Kelce, mostly because he's just an idiot. I mean, malinformed, just not a very smart person, besides the point. And then how many people want to watch just because Taylor Swift? Now, those people may be 12-year-old girls, but how many houses and how many rooms and how many basements is that going to be on? And that it may not have been for all those reasons.
Yeah, I can see that, but I mean, also, like, just me personally, and I mean, most people that we know and talk to, I feel like it'd be the opposite, where, like, you're turning on the TV to go see how Josh Allen plays. Like, it's Josh Allen. It's his first time in the Super Bowl. He finally beat the Chiefs. Like, there's all this hype around.
Me and you both know that we are absolutely not in the general population, though.
Yeah.
Me and you both have a pulse of society. Like, should we go to Giant Eagle down the road? We are not... I do not claim to be part of the general population. Have you seen some of the people that are out there?
Yeah.
There are people out there that are actually psychotic, and they do not... Have you seen the people that all they do is sit on a computer and track celebrity flights? Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
When people churn out graphics of everywhere Taylor Swift's been in the last... 6 weeks.
And get happy that that she flew over their house.
Those people are amongst us, right? Like, we are, you know what I mean? So I think there is a ton of money for the league in dynasties. What happened to the NBA after the Jordan dynasty? Nobody watched it until the Shaq Kobe. Like, there was a good 15 years where the NBA was in the wilderness after the after the Michael Jordan dynasty.
Yeah.
Look at the NBA ratings now. It was never better in the past 2 decades than when the Warriors were winning. Even with Kevin Durant. But people hated them just as much. Their ratings were sky high. I was even interested in the NBA. I have not thought about even checking the standings in the NBA. I usually keep an eye on it. Haven't even looked at a score yet. Because I don't care.
Yeah.
So.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, kind of a hit there. We've been talking about how the NFL has been... go in that direction, at least a little bit. Kind of a hit and a miss. I don't know. Let's jump into it. Hits and misses. Here we go.
All right, hit number one here. We'll get to Buffalo in just a second. Let's go to maybe... Now, granted, I predicted them to start the season 2-9, but the Cowboys being bad, finishing, 7-10.
Yep.
They just continue to be a bottom-tier organization. For Jerry Jones to have the arrogance to go into a negotiation, if you even want to call it that, with Mike McCarthy, I'm not sure how much negotiating there actually was, to think that he would be so desperate for a job that he would stay, next thing you know, he tells you where you can go shove it, and now you're desperate for a coach, and you promote the offensive coordinator who didn't even call plays under Mike McCarthy, and you do it on a Friday night because you don't want the media, because they know in their heart of hearts.
They know it's a shitty decision.
They know. They know that is a poor decision to promote Brian Schottenheimer. Nothing against the guy, but let's be serious. He isn't the guy for this job. Let's be very serious.
Do you think they shopped around at all? I mean, because the Dallas job,
Did you buy the whole Dion story? I didn't really buy that as a legitimate.
No.
Yeah, Jerry's interested in him. Well, yeah, he's an interesting guy. But. Was there any legitimacy to that? Probably not.
I don't think so.
I think they shopped around. I think they talked to Robert Saleh and a couple other guys like that.
I just don't understand how this isn't one of the better jobs. I know it's Dallas. I know they always underperform. But when you look at the list of jobs available.
Well, now it was just them and the Saints by the time they went to hire. But
I guess, yeah.
Even of all the jobs open, I think it is one of the worst. Jacksonville, I get Trevor Lawrence, or I could get Dak making $67 million against the cap next year.
Yeah, that part's rough. The
and
Jaden's
in your division. Jalen Hurts and that roster's in your division. No interest. Miss number one here. Let's get to Buffalo. I thought that we had finally gotten over the whole, hey, Josh Allen, just save us in a big moment. That's our game plan. Just figure out how to make a play. Yet, in the biggest moments, they didn't go to James Cook. They didn't rely on their tight ends that they built up a really, really good tight end. group. They didn't go to veteran Amari Cooper. It was Josh Save Us. Fourth down plays. You have 2 good running backs, 2 good tight ends. Your offensive line's good, and it was just, we're just going to push Josh and hope it works.
What didn't even do?
I thought we got away from just, hey, Josh, save us. But just like Baltimore when they play teams that are better than them, they kind of revert back to their old, comfortable, but less effective habits, which is Lamar Jackson running the football, let's Lamar save us, or handing the ball off to Derrick Henry, or what. And just like that, Buffalo reverts to their habits that clearly weren't working. This was your best shot with a good run game, good offensive line, 2 good tight ends, and you went away from it. And
now, obviously, the officiating was a big factor. That played a lot into it. But
Buffalo didn't play well.
I was going to say, do you think Buffalo lost the game?
Yes. I think Buffalo lost the game. I didn't think the officials helped. But, they fumbled 4 times, and they recovered it 4 times. How often does that happen?
Not very often.
Almost never. So, luck goes both ways. So I'm not saying it's all on the officials. But, yeah, Buffalo did not play very well. I
agree.
Hit number 2 here. I said when I remember we were having this discussion, I've been very anti-Daniel Jones for a long time. And I said when him and Saquon were both up, they both wanted a contract extension. And the word out of New York was, well, Daniel's going to get it. And then Saquon will franchise tag him, and then, or I guess we'll just let him play on his rookie deal, and then we'll extend him maybe next year. We'll reopen this discussion next year. So you put off Saquon being paid to pay Daniel Jones. I said, that's a horrendous idea. Saquon is a one-of-one player. Yep. I don't care that he's at a less valuable position. He is a one-of-one. You pay and you keep and you build around one-of-one players, and he is absolutely that. I didn't understand not paying him. I'm happy that he deserves to be with a good organization. I'm happy for him. I'm never going to root for the Eagles, but I'm happy for Saquon Barkley. He deserves to have a legit organization around him.
100%, and I will disagree in the one fact where I will root for the Eagles in this particular upcoming game and anybody to beat KC. But yeah, what we've seen from Saquon is insane. I love going back to the old clip of the Giants GM on the phone with him, like, hey, if you test the market, you're going to come back to us and let us know what offers you get, right? And he's like, have a good one.
He's like, yeah, for sure, yeah. I missed number 2 here. I'm still fairly down on Jalen Hurts. I don't think he's a top 15 pocket passer. I think he's somewhere between 12 and 18 in terms of total scope of the league, But he looked really, really good against Washington. Now, granted, Washington played a couple road games at that point, a little bit worn out. They had kind of been playing above their level for the last couple weeks. Everybody expected them to come back down to earth. The defense isn't great. The run game's really good for Philadelphia. That helps Jalen. But he looked unbelievable on Sunday. An absolute masterclass in efficiency, making the right play, throwing where the defense is allowing you to throw, giving what the defense takes you, or taking what the defense gives you, sorry. He looked fantastic. Got to give credit where credit's due.
100%. And the weapons in that room, insane. Whenever you have A.J. Brown down the field, that's always a good day. Devonta Smith, obviously, great day. You have everything there, and then you could always hand it off to Saquon Barkley. So they're not in a bad spot. Jalen looks great, especially with all the support he's getting. So the Eagles are looking scary.
Okay, hit number 3 here. Despite all that I've said that is negative about Kansas City, I did have them in the Super Bowl. In fact, I think I predicted them beating the Bears to three-peat. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and check. I'm almost positive I had Caleb getting to the Super Bowl. I had the Chiefs beating him in the Super Bowl to go for a three-peat. I believe I said Travis would propose to Taylor and then retire. Mm-hmm. So far that prediction is looking really good. Despite all my negative feedback about the Chiefs, about the officiating, about the NFL, I'm kind of freaking nailing it a little bit. I'm kind of nailing it.
And the thing is, too, I feel like to hit all of those predictions there, the Chiefs would have to win, because I don't think he's proposing after
they have to win. They would have to win for that to come. I predict them to win as well. So, yeah. Miss number 3 here. It's an easy target to rip on the Raiders because they just don't do a ton, right? I didn't like the hire of Antonio Pierce. People are like, oh, they have some decent talent. I think it's a fairly talent-devoid roster. I think Max Crosby's very overrated, and their offensive line's poor. I like Brock Bowers. I don't think he moves the needle for me in terms of them winning football games in the NFL.
Yeah,
But with that being said, here's the miss. I have to give credit where credit is due when they do smart things. the GM, Spytek, appears to be a very, very smart guy. And then Pete Carroll, very adult, mature, stable head coach, right? You're not going to be bad with Pete Carroll at the helm. They may not be good, right? They may have a rough year this year, but in the scope of his 3-year contract, Pete Carroll's a very, very good head coach. They moved off just kind of not ready for the job, not prepared Antonio Pierce. They have an adult in the room. It was much needed. I have to give them credit for finally doing the adult thing, because they never do.
Yeah, I agree. Now, the one thing that I will say is expect year 1 of Pete Carroll to look like year 1 of Sean Payton in Denver. That's what I think this looks like, where you do have some stability, you have things that are forming, coming together, but you still have a very loose, just not ready to go team. But give them 2 to 3 years, and I think it looks better.
See, I think it'll look. I don't even think will look as good as Denver did with Russell Wilson in 23, Sean Payton's first year. I think it'll look closer to. Now, I think he'll be more successful overall. But do you remember the first year that Brian Flores was with the Dolphins and they got blown? Like Baltimore beat them by like 50 early in the season, and then by the last game of the year, they were like beating New England in New England. Like, I think the Raiders are going to be really, really bad, but the start of your product and the end of your product is going to be much, much better. You're going to see a culture formed, toughness. They're going to be playing harder for Pete Carroll. I don't think they'll be as successful as Sean Payton's Broncos, but I see what you're saying. I think they're going to be closer to Miami, but you're going to see the same build that you see with both those.
And he'll need a couple drafts to get everything in order, how he likes it and how he wants it, and I mean, he'll have his hand in all that stuff. So, it's definitely a step in the right directions for the Raiders, but just like any of the teams like that, the Raiders, the Jets, the Browns, just wait for them to fuck it up, because they will.
That's a good point. They will absolutely. Yeah.
Anyway, guys, that is hits and misses. We will be back on the other side of the break. We will have our season wrap up, giving you some superlatives, MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, all that good stuff. Stick around. It's coming at you next.
All right, welcome back. Second segment, post AFC Championship game. I would say pre-Super Bowl, but we still have another week, and then it's Super Bowl time. Yep. Of course, Super Bowl being on the 9th, used to be on the 2nd. Obviously, that doesn't work. So we'll be on the 9th this year, obviously, with the 18th week, 17th game being added. That's why. Anyway, if you missed the first segment, go back. We talked a little bit about the NFL, about how the Chiefs just seem to always find a way to get the call. Yes, they played well. Yes, they're situationally great. But they're getting some help. Just like how Buffalo. I didn't think Buffalo played particularly well. But if some calls went the other way, they still should have won, even though they didn't play very well. So we talked about all that, and that kind of spilled over into hits and misses as well. So go back, listen to those, whether that be on YouTube or Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. We appreciate however you found us, are listening, watching, etc. Make sure you like, review, download, comment, etc.
Love that. We got a pretty good one here for you guys. We are going to do our season wrap up. Great time to do it. Kind of that lull before the Super Bowl. Right, next week we will have all the predictions, prop bets, betting lines, things like that to go through with you. But for this week, we are going to review how we did. Starting with divisional predictions, we'll go back through, review those, and then we will get into our predictions for the superlatives, the MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, all that good stuff. So we will start with our review. Let's go with that first.
So let me start with I would say like mine, more personally mine, and then we'll get to, I don't know if you wrote down your best take, worst take, but I have a couple ideas for you. Let's say my best take of the year would be buying Bills stock. That was by far the best decision I made going into this season. People are like, well, that's an easy decision to make. Oh, it's the Bills. Of course you predict they'd be good. Hold up for a second. I'll quiz you. Do you remember who the betting favorite was to win the AFC East?
Was it the Dolphins?
It was the New York Jets. They were the odds-on betting favorite to win the division. Buffalo wasn't even favored to win their own division just because they lost a couple receivers. It's like we don't learn, hey, that doesn't matter when you're amazing at quarterback, good everywhere else, and really, really stable as an organization. The Jets checked none of those boxes. The Bills checked all of those boxes. So the easiest and by far my best take was buying Bills stock. . Honorable mention, the best take would be Dallas being bad. So
that's fair.
Do you have a best take? Do you feel really, really good about any of your takes?
Yeah, my Lions take. I was on the Lions to start the season, and the running back duo, I loved it. Obviously, is an easier train to be on, for sure. But I loved the Jared Goff. I loved just all of Detroit. They were my favorite, especially then going into the playoffs too. I was really pulling for them. Didn't pan out the way I wanted it to, but I will say I was on the Lions. That's what I'll take my victory lap on.
I would say, though, like, I'll give your C.J. Stroud take a little bit more credit here in year 2 as well. I know he didn't play great, but, like, still won a playoff game. Like, that's very impressive.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, my worst take. By far the Caleb Williams take. I expected him to just, to have quite literally the season that Jaden Daniels did. Dynamic, very clearly the best rookie in the class. Production, wins, NFC Championship game. I had, Caleb actually getting the Super Bowl, but, the take was basically there. I just got the wrong rookie quarterback. I said Caleb. Turns out it'd be Jaden. So
yeah.
Kind of basically almost all correct.
Almost nailed it.
Almost nailed it. I said a rookie quarterback would do all these things, and then that rookie quarterback did all those things. It just happened to be the wrong rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
Honorable mention on my bad takes as well. I would say the Trevor Lawrence take didn't age very well. To be fair, he got hurt. Now, it didn't look great even pre-injury, but now we know, coach wasn't very good. That will be a take that I'm still on going into 2025.
Okay.
/ 2026. Liam Cohen is legit. We saw what he's able to do with Baker. I actually think Trevor's going to be fantastic next year, but that's the discussion for next year. But that's an honorable mention for my worst takes.
Yeah, my 2 worst, I would say one is a combination between both of us. That's the Steelers take. Early in the season, I mean, we had them at the bottom of the division, man. Like bottom of the AFC North and a losing season.
Now I know that this is going to sound stupid, but take the record out of it. Let's think about the emotion of the city, the emotion and the trajectory of the franchise.
It feels like what we said.
I feel like we nailed it. We nailed everything but the number.
Yeah.
We nailed everything but the number. I know they're not technically in last, that they still technically made the playoffs, all that.
And we did say that if they made the playoffs, they would lose immediately.
We nailed them. We thought that these last 5 weeks were going to be the whole season. That's where we were wrong.
Yeah.
But the team we thought we'd see all year ended up coming to fruition just a little bit too late for our prediction.
Yeah, that's fair.
To be fair. What was your other one? You said
the C.J. Stroud one. I said he would be like top of the league, one of the best quarterbacks, and down the stretch he played horrible.
I'll give you one. Your Dolphins take.
The Dolphins take was bad too. I forgot about that.
You were a fan of them. You thought that they would.
I thought they would finish above the Bills. Yes.
Yeah.
That's my bad. So those are the best and the worst takes.
Correct. Yeah, those are the best and the worst takes. Kind of wrap up our season of hot takes, if you will. I didn't even write this down. I do have a game of the year candidate, and I know it's like recency bias, but I'm actually going to go Bills and Ravens divisional round.
Yeah.
To me, that was unbelievable. You got mistakes on both sides. A couple turnovers here, a couple turnovers there. The scene in Buffalo with it snowing a little bit. Mm-hmm. That was a great. That's what football was all about, mm-hmm. right? The officials didn't decide the game. Star players made big plays. A critical drop. Big moments coming down to one play, one series, one down. Unbelievable. That was one of my favorite games to watch this year.
Yeah, I agree. That was a great one.
Craziest game? How about the Steelers starting in about 45-degree weather and then ending in an absolute blizzard in Cleveland?
No, that was wild. That was like November too, and they just got like 7 inches of snow during the game.
Yeah, that was crazy because it was like the second quarter. Yeah, it was like starting to flurry a little bit. By like midway through the third quarter, like I can't see the team.
No, they were trying to. They started. It was that first game where they started using like the overlay numbers and like yard lines on the field. Yep. Where they're like, we're gonna try this out.
By the way, great idea. Don't know why that was not introduced earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's now give our predictions for the superlatives, or I guess the NFL awards, right? They released their finalists, so we know the finalists for MVP, oh boy, all the way down through. MVP. To me, I'm going... You know what? Actually, let's save that for last. Save the best for last.
Let's go with the divisions. Let's go with the division review first.
The division review. Okay. 6 of 8 divisions. Butchered the NFC West.
Yep.
Butchered it. And then the NFC South, we had the Falcons above the Bucks. Mangled the bottom, not as worried about the bottom. We got 6 of the 8 division leads. 3 of the 8 we got the first and last correct, which to me is the most important. And I think 1 of 8 we completely nailed from start to finish, 1 through 4. Yeah, our worst division by far, bar none, was the NFC West.
Yeah.
We basically had it inverted. Like, it was bad.
It was really bad.
It was awful. So, yeah, 6 of 8 on divisions. I am most proud, in terms of our divisions, I'm most proud of the NFC East because we nailed, or I'm sorry, the AFC East, because we nailed it exactly, and it was totally against all betting odds. Like, the Jets were supposed to win, we had them in 3rd. The Dolphins were supposed to be really good, we expect them to be the Dolphins, like they've always been.
2nd.
8-9, 9-8, somewhere around there. Compete for a spot till week 18, and then fall flat because Tua didn't play enough games, they didn't win enough games.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. We said, yeah, just because Buffalo traded Stephon Diggs, does that mean they're going to stop learning how to play football? Of course, they were fantastic, per usual. And we said exactly what the Patriots are going to be. Building towards something special with a young quarterback, but absolutely not there yet.
Yep, no,
that's exactly what they
not
were.
even close. They made it easy for us for a nice basement.
I'm most proud of that division.
Yep.
Okay.
Now do we get into the superlatives?
Superlatives. Let's start from, like, I guess, quote-unquote, least interesting or least prestigious all the way up to most prestigious, MVP at the top. Let's go with Assistant of the Year or Coordinator of the Year. Couple ideas that I thought were fun. I thought Ben Johnson was a good idea. We talked about that. I thought Brian Flores, what he did with that defense in Minnesota, leading them to 14 wins, was a good idea. To me, though, Vic Fangio had the most impact on a football team of any of the coordinators nominated. Are we aware that secondary was ranked 31st of 32 secondaries last season?
It was bad.
Are we aware that with all that talent up front, they were a bottom 10 team in pass rush last year? Are we aware of all of these not good, awful against the run, just absolutely terrible on the ground? They are top 5 in almost every stat category that matters now for defense.
Yeah.
I mean, you list me one, I'll tell you they're top 5 in it. Unbelievable from the Eagles. I think Vic Fangio absolutely deserves it.
It's been a hell of a run, and I mean, obviously it does not take into account the postseason, the playoffs, but now you're seeing that translate into when it really matters to, the Philadelphia defense is looking strong at the right time. They're going to have to go play Mahomes now, so you better be.
I'd like to say something.
Go ahead.
Dumbest thing ever that the NFL awards do not include the postseason. To me, that is the dumbest thing ever. Leagues should obviously include postseason in their voting. Shouldn't be everything, because then you'll just end up the MVP being the best player on the Super Bowl winning team.
Right.
Shouldn't be everything, but
you should be able to factor some of it in.
Is it not a factor that Brian Flores gave up 20-something to the Rams in a playoff game? Is that not a factor to you? Like, to me, it's a factor. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious exactly what their defensive stats are, but I don't know. That's a discussion for another time. Anyway, Coach of the Year, for similar reasons, I would go Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
New ownership, new GM, a lot of new moving parts.
Rookie quarterback,
bringing in new coordinators. Overhaul the defense. A lot of the same guys, though, stayed. They were obviously significantly better. They went from getting the number 2 overall pick in Jaden Daniels, so clearly being bad enough to draft number 2 overall, to being the second best team in the NFC, to being second in the conference, to being a top 4 team in the league. And Jaden Daniels is a clear home run. Dan Quinn deserves a ton of credit. The defense wasn't great. Obviously, they got 55 drops in their head in the NFC Championship game. I'm not saying the defense was great. The game management, the clock management, the clutch gene of the entire team. We talked about how Jaden Daniels, the backdoor covers for that team, they were always in it in the fourth quarter. It's not just Jaden. A lot of that is coaching. That's clock management. That's timeout management. That's knowing when to throw challenge flags, knowing when to not. That's substitutions. That's wear and tear over the course of a game and managing that roster. I think Dan Quinn deserves a ton of credit and should be Coach of the Year. Yeah. I know Dan Campbell's great. There's like 6 Hall of Famers on that roster. There's like 10 people that are going to get Hall of Fame votes on that roster and 2 great assistants that are now head coaches. So I think Dan Quinn did more with less.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it's about how much you can do with like the little amount of talent that you're given, and that's the prime example of it. Navigating the NFL with a rookie quarterback and being able to do what that team did speaks volumes. I love it. Dan Quinn, Coach of the Year.
All right, comeback player of the year here. I have some grievances with a couple of the finalists. One, I think we're far enough removed from DeMar Hamlin dying on the field to just say, like, he's not that good of a player. Like, I'm sorry, he's not that good of a player. And he was back last year. So, to me, it feels like a bit redundant. He came back last year. And he didn't start for most of the year. I know people are like, well, the fact that he's even living. I get that. We already did that, right? That was the argument last year. And he's just not very good at the sport. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm sorry. There's another defensive back on here that's just way better. So it just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. And the second one would be Sam Darnold. What's he coming back from? Being bad at the sport? Like, I don't... He was just bad. He was just a bad quarterback up until this point in his career. Like, I'm a firm believer that the comeback player of the year should be somebody that comes back from an injury, comes back from a circumstance in which they were not allowed to play football, like, or not able to play football. So to me, like, the Sam Darnold thing is, I just don't get it. He was a backup.
You can make the argument that he wasn't able to play football.
Like, I guess, yeah. Coming back from what? Being bad? Like, I just don't get that.
It doesn't make much sense.
So to me, Christian Gonzalez is the pick. Joe Burrow's up for it. I think he's a good option, and he probably will get it. J.K. Dobbins is good because of how much he went through, but then he got hurt again this year and missed a couple games. So it's like,
trust me, he was on my fantasy team. I know.
Like, feels a little odd to give him comeback player of the year when he wasn't back for the full year. Like,
and I don't love the Burrow one either, because you got hurt in week 6, 7, something like that, like right in the middle of the season for a couple weeks, and then came back, and your team still didn't really go all that far. You had a chance, you won a couple down the stretch, but that's not comeback player worthy in my opinion.
Yeah, to me, it's somebody that missed like the majority of the year. Let's see, torn ligament in his right wrist, November 16th. So that's what, like, that's almost halfway through the year. That's like week what 12 or 13?
Yeah, somewhere like that.
So I mean, that's, to me, that doesn't. You don't qualify, sorry. So that leaves us with Christian Gonzalez. I think he's one of the best young defensive backs in football. I think he's better than Sauce Gardner. I think he's right up there with Stingley. I think he's up there with Pat Surtain. Quinyon Mitchell is up there, which he, spoiler alert, that's our defensive rookie. There would be Quinyon Mitchell. So we'll go back to back here with defensive backs. Cooper DeJean was up for it. Fine candidate. I think it's odd because Quinyon Mitchell's the better cornerback on the same team. There's the discussion with Purdy and C-Mac from last year where it's like, how is Purdy the MVP when he's not even the best player in his own backfield or on his own offense? Same thing with Mitchell and DeJean. I don't know. And then Jared Verse, Braden Fisk were up for it. They were good. They were better in the playoffs, but Jared Verse had 4.5 sacks on the year. So, like, I know visually he looks like he's going to be a star. There was no production, though. I saw the production from Quinyon Mitchell, or the lack thereof of the receivers that he was guarding. Yeah. And there was one other guy, but that's besides the point. Quinyon Mitchell is by far the defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, I love that one.
Offensive rookie of the year is one of the easiest discussions of all time. It's Jaden Daniels.
How could it not be?
He's the best rookie quarterback of all time, and the quarterback is the most valuable position of all time. So it would only make sense that the best rookie quarterback of all time would be the offensive rookie of the year, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. I mean, it hurts me because I can't even cite the playoffs as reasoning why.
No, I am. Screw it. I don't care. I know that the NFL won't, but I am.
You beat the Lions in the playoffs.
This is the issue awards. This is the issue awards, not the NFL awards. I'm taking it into account.
Yeah, screw the NFL.
Defensive Player of the Year, Trey Hendrickson. This is almost like a default to me because I didn't think any other candidate was any good. Zach Bond is a very good linebacker. He's an interior linebacker. What are the wins above replacement from Zach Bond and inside linebacker X? Like, to me, not that much. Like, He's not that impactful of a player. He's really good. Really, really good. I would have paid him. I would have signed him. I think he should be first team All-Pro. That's great. Do not think he's Defensive Player of the Year. I don't think Pat Surtain is either. I don't think he elevated to that level. Really, really good. Not quite that level. And then the two other edge rushers, Myles Garrett. I don't know. They won 3 games. Like, I know that the Bengals weren't great, but they won 3 games in Cleveland.
You talk about wins above
matter?
Replacement. It doesn't matter at all.
Doesn't that have to matter little bit?
I mean, you have to help and assist your team in winning, in my opinion.
And then T.J. Watt, because to me, he just went radio silent in the last 4 weeks.
Didn't even know he was at the games.
He was invisible the last 4 weeks of the year, so he's disqualified. Trey Hendrickson gets it. Offensive Player of the Year. There's really only two candidates to me that make any sense. Jamar Chase and Saquon Barkley. Jamar, because the Triple Crown thing. I'm going Saquon because I think he's more impactful on winning. I think there's an argument he's the MVP. So I think whoever comes like quote-unquote runner-up, I don't even say even runner-up. I think whoever comes in third in MVP voting should be the Offensive Player of the Year. I think if you're one of the top two in MVP, like, kind of sucks if you come in second because you just lose out on all of it.
Yeah.
But then that third person, i.e. Saquon, should be Offensive Player of the Year. The best non-quarterback should be Offensive Player of the Year. Mm-hmm. That's Saquon Barkley.
100%.
Easily. And he impacted winning more than anybody else on that list.
Yeah, and you look at what that team looked like before he got there and what it looks like now. I mean, yes, could you have been fine with Swift in the backfield? You could have been fine. But now you have, like you said earlier, one of one.
Is DeAndre Swift scoring 3 touchdowns in the NFC Championship game?
I don't think so.
Is he breaking that 65-yard run in the first play of the game? I don't think so. So, yeah, Saquon's special.
Yep.
MVP Josh Allen. I was on the Lamar train a couple weeks back. Again, I just think the playoffs matter. Like, even if the playoffs don't matter, that gets back to the whole, like, okay, let's talk about value. I think Josh Allen is more valuable to his team than Lamar Jackson is to his team.
Yeah.
I think you could only put maybe like Mahomes and Herbert in the Buffalo system and they would succeed to this level. I don't want to. I think you could put Jaden Daniels. I think you could put Jalen Hurts. I think you could put Kyler Murray. I think you could put any of these hyper-mobile quarterbacks in the Baltimore system, and they will have success with Derrick Henry, with 2 good tight ends, with one of the best offensive lines in football, with a Hall of Fame coach, really, really good ownership, great GM. I just think Josh Allen's doing more with less. Mm-hmm. And I think he's more irreplaceable than Lamar Jackson.
And I mean, you look at the wins that leads to, right? I mean, they went through the season, like you said, being not the favorites to even win their own division. Fight through it all, put it in Josh Allen's hands, and just let him go win. And then, I mean, you can say what you want about the AFC Championship game. I still think he was the
best. I think he was the best quarterback this season. I think they were the best team this season.
100%. Yeah, Josh Allen MVP. Run back through.
All right, MVP Josh Allen, Offensive Player of the Year Saquon Barkley, Trey Hendrickson is Defensive Player of the Year. Jaden Daniels and Quinyon Mitchell are O'Roy and D-Roy, respectively. Christian Gonzalez, Comeback Player of the Year. Dan Quinn and Vic Fangio are Coach of the Year and Coordinator of the Year.
That is quite the list, guys. Those are the superlatives here as per the issues, so make sure you go check those out. Cross-reference them with what you see go down here in the NFL honors. We'll be seeing that this week.
I'm just realizing that the NFC East has every NFC award here. They have Opoy, they have O'Roy, they have D-Roy, and Coach and Coordinator of the Year.
NFC East. Oh, we'll give it an extra little special shout out here. Division of the Year, NFC East.
Sure. I like that.
All right.
Sure.
There it is, guys. That is everything we have for you here today, all bundled up here into episode 261. So make sure you come back next week. It is the Super Bowl predictions, biggest week of the year here for us, anybody in the NFL world. You can find us here on Thursday, all the normal platforms. You guys know the deal, theissuesports.com. But thanks for stopping by today. And like always, that was The Issue.